Hello, how are you? My name is Sister Pulley, and today I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing my friend, my coworker, Norene Clarke. How you doing, Norene?
Great. How are you?
Lovely. I'm doing great. Um, I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. We've been working together now how long?
Approximately 2 years.
2 years. And before that, did we know each other?
Absolutely. You were my case manager.
I was your case manager. And how'd that work out?
Well, you made a suggestion and I didn't follow it, but I do remember you left a lasting impression.
Okay. What was the suggestion I made?
To go to a actual treatment program,
Mm-hmm.
another level of care,
Mm-hmm.
to go into a halfway house,
Mm-hmm.
but I decided not to.
Can I ask you a question? Why did I suggest that, you think?
Because I was in dire straits and I really needed to take a look at my life. And I really had nowhere to go, honestly. So, yeah.
Can you be more specific about you being in dire straits? Can you expound on that?
Well, I was addicted to drugs very badly, was homeless. By the time I got to a rehab where you were working, or we're both working now,
Congratulations on that, by the way.
thank you.
We'll get to that later. Go ahead.
Thank you. I basically was on drugs bad. I didn't have any clothing. I had one wig, right? and
And your wig game now is resplendent, right?
well, thank you.
How many you got now?
Probably about 100. I'm like a Beyonce now, right?
Okay. All right. And always look great. That's one thing I got to say about Noreen. She comes dressed to the T every single day.
Yeah.
And that I know that's superficial because you come bringing love, joy, happy, and free, and a lot of information to the patients, and they love you. But when you walk in the door, people's waiting to find out what you got on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And including the wig game. So it's fire. But go ahead.
Well, I think that the reason why I take pride in my parents, because I did take pride in my parents before.
Makes sense.
And I often say to people at work, because they're like, why are you always dressed up? So because when I come to work, I need to look like I'm coming to work, right? So often I take pride in my parents because, it's people are looking, people are watching, and it helps me to feel good about myself.
That's right, because you're watching too.
Right, exactly.
All right, so let's go back to your dire straits. You was in dire straits. You didn't have nowhere to go. You was on drugs. You only had one wig. So how a person in that particular construct or in that particular dire straits, how could you in any way, shape, or form say, no, I'm not going to do it? Where did you go when you left?
To the trap house.
To the trap house. Straight to the trap house?
Yeah. You discharged me to an address. You didn't know that it was a trap house.
Wow. Okay.
He was unaware of it. I had talked to him to let me just. And the bottom line is that case managers can only make a suggestion. I believe in what do you call that? Where patients have say so in their treatment and they don't have to go along with the recommendation. It's just highly recommended because they are the case manager obviously sees something that they feel the patient needs to address.
Right.
And so they will try to navigate them in that direction. But if they choose not to go that direction, nothing anyone says is gonna make me do that. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. But you heard the information I was giving you, and it touched your heart. But you just couldn't at that time do it.
Right.
You just couldn't do it.
Because a lot of recovery has a lot to do with change and your willingness to do the work. And I knew that meant at that time that I was going to have to not just go to a program, but make some changes that I was not willing to make at the time.
Gotcha. Because what?
I think that I denial, I guess, some level
if
of
I
denial.
may, this is not me speaking for you, but this is what I find in with the patients. I tell them that which they need to do, and they know they need to do it, right? And it hits them, and you can see it hit them. You could see the realization over their face, but you could also see the fear. And when I talk about the fear of what? Fear of having to navigate life without your drug of choice, without your shield, without your sword. That's what you find, your drug to be, your shield and your sword. Because without that, all of a sudden you're naked, you're raw. And the things that are coming at you, including your memories and your past trauma, all of a sudden now they could just attack you. That's why you use every day so they don't come. Now I'm going to tell you. So I saw you understand and see it, and then I saw you run for it. I saw you put your coat back on before your coat was even on. I seen you put it on, and I seen that I didn't know it was a trap house, but I knew you wasn't going to where I told you to go because you said no. You said, I'm not doing this right now. As much as I might respect you, Chris Pulley, the answer is no. And what could I say? Good luck. I went home and slept like a baby because I did my absolute best by you. And then eventually you did your best by yourself. Tell me about that. How did that work out? When did that happen? Where you were actually finally said, okay, I'm going to do something now. What happened?
Well, I was about almost 6 years ago, because I've been clean and sober about 6 years, 9 months, 5 years, 9 months. I'm coming up on 6 years. So I think one day I had been somewhere and I freaking just looked around and I thought to myself, I have nowhere to go. I was devastated and I wasn't high no more. So the high had wore off. And then I was like, where am I going to go? And I was broke. And the only thing I had was the clothes on my back. So I was like, oh, hell no. I got to do something. So that was when I went to a recovery coach. Because I work as a recovery coach at the facility that we both work at. So a recovery coach actually helped me.
Get you into somewhere?
Get me into somewhere. And I always tell her when I see her that you gave me a ball and I ran with it. So I often tell the patients, even at the facility, people are going to give you a ball. Either you run with the ball, either you drop the ball, you can give the ball away, or you can use it at a later date. The ball you gave me, I used at a later date, right?
Makes sense.
The ball my recovery coach gave me, I ran with it.
It's the same ball, though.
Yeah, it's the same ball.
It's the same ball. Sometimes you're not ready for it.
Right.
Right? But you had the ball, right? And I wasn't the first person that you talked to.
Right.
You was in treatment before that, right?
Yeah, but you had gave me some people you just remember because they actually have they exude like a certain type of energy where you can't forget them, and there's other people that have been in my life. I vaguely remember them and I know that they worked at the facility, but they didn't have an effect on me like other people may have, like yourself, like my recovery coach did.
So that last time that you used and it wore off, you never used again?
I went. I was so bad off that I had to go to a psych ward for 3 weeks, so I could get rehab ready. How about that?
Wow, that's deep. Okay.
Yeah, so I could get rehab ready because I was not even rehab ready.
Okay.
I had to get my mind right, get a couple of meals in me, rest up, things like that, because I wasn't ready to actually rehab. I needed to rest first.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
The street did you dirty.
Yeah. I did myself dirty because I could always say the street did it, but I could have left at any time. I stayed.
Could you? Because right now, when you're talking, when you said that, you're saying that you have power over the disease rather than the disease having power over you.
Right.
Feel me? I could have done any time. That's not necessarily so. There were times when you could have, like when you was in rehab and you didn't go back, but you was afraid. But when you're in the street, sometimes it's really hard.
Yeah, I could have
Stop.
left at any time. I could have, just like I made the decision to go see a recovery coach this last time. I could have done that months ago.
Then why didn't you?
Prior. I don't think reality had hit me at that point. Reality had hit me that morning when I was so screwed up I couldn't even buy myself a bottle of water.
How long were you in the street for?
I've been in and out of the streets for months and years, so by that time it could have been a few months. So I go to freaking rehab, get out, go to a shelter, and eventually even the system started to see I was using it
Mhm.
as a revolving door.
Mhm.
So
Now, the door revolved when you, quote unquote, when reality hit you every time? Reality hit you a couple times, didn't it?
yeah, but that day I was sitting in the middle of the street looking around like, wow, people were going to work, people were put their kids on the school bus.
Talk about an epiphany.
Yeah, it was like,
Think God hit you?
yeah, I got the tap.
Okay, you got the tap. All right,
Yeah.
okay, I heard that. So here you are. You just got out of the psych ward, and now you're rehab ready. Which rehab did you go to? You don't have to really be specific, but
I went to Utica.
you went to Utica. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. All right. And you stayed how long?
I went to a 28-day program. They kept me there for 90 days.
You went to a 28-day program, but they kept you for 90 days?
I'm glad they did because it gave me more time to get my thoughts, to get some a moment of clarity.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And then after that, you went where?
Well, the reason why they kept me for 90 days, I was going to go to a halfway house in that area.
Gotcha.
So one thing about when services are being paid by agencies that they have to stay within county first. So what happened was there were many people in their county that had precedence over me.
Gotcha.
And they started seeing that 30 days passed, 60 days passed. They knew that they couldn't let me stay past 90 days. So they said they didn't know when a bed would be available because they had to take all their in-county people first.
So then you went to the halfway house.
I didn't go to a halfway house.
Where'd you go?
I ended up going to a shelter.
Okay.
I left from Utica. They shipped me back to the Albany, Rensselaer, Troy area, which is this area. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you the whole truth, but not much the truth. I made up a story, right? So I left there, and I was getting Social Security at the time. So I like $3,000 because my checks kept coming. When you're an inpatient like that, you still get your Social Security checks. So what happened was I made up a whole story. I called the shelter people. I told them that I was in a rehab because I had an abuser, because I had nowhere to go. I had no halfway house or nothing. I made up a name. I made up a story. I told him I was in rehab because he used to make me smoke crack all the time. Yeah, I made up a whole story. I said, and I'm afraid to live in Schenectady because he's in Schenectady. And I lied about who he was. And so they sent me to Equinox, which was
in Albany.
Yeah, in Albany. They sent me there to the battered women's shelter. So I stayed there for 90 days. Okay. So that was another 3 months. So
all the time you're going to meetings and stuff?
Yeah.
Had a sponsor?
So the first 6 months I was in, first I was in that.
Never used?
Right, never used.
Okay, but had a sponsor, going to the meetings, doing service work?
I wasn't really doing service because I was looking for housing. Gotcha. I was freaking trying to just stay focused on staying clean.
The system helped you?
Yeah. And one thing about me being in the shelter is because of a higher need, right? So a lot of people don't understand that if you're in a shelter, you're a higher need in terms of housing. So because of that, they were more than willing to help me because they pay more for me to be there than they do if I get housing.
Gotcha. So you manipulated the system a little bit.
Absolutely. I did. My way of thinking was that I've done it to get more drugs and to get used and to get high and to do self-destructive stuff. So I navigated the system in order to help myself. So
I like that. And it worked. So everything that you did has you sitting here today. And you've been working at where we work together for how long?
Well, over 2 years.
And you got your SERPA how long ago?
Certified Recovery Peer Advocate. I got that about 2 years ago.
Okay. That was a big move for you?
No, the KSAT was more of a big move for me. Yeah.
But you're working as a SERPA. You're making money as a SERPA.
Yeah.
You walked in the door and they gave you the job at the same place that you was just at a while ago. And now here you are. Yeah,
I can still go into my computer because I have an office.
You got an office?
Yeah.
Got your own office?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But my
That
point
same
is,
office you were sitting in on the other side, now you're on the other side
right,
talking
yeah,
to people. All right,
yeah.
keep going.
Because I have an office, I have a desktop where I could actually go on and see what I looked like when I was in treatment there.
Oh.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
went back and looked into the files,
yeah.
and you saw what you looked like?
Oh my God,
How'd you
I
look?
was tore up from the foot.
Yeah.
Needed a checkup from the nigga. Yeah, it was bad.
And you're working as a SERPA. A what?
Certified Recovery Peer Advocate.
Which means?
It means a role model, someone who has been in recovery, that has been in addiction, that's now clean and sober. That's kind of a role model, someone that people will hopefully want to emulate.
And you're able to talk about your disease to them?
Yeah, in appropriate context, right? So
Right.
I try to do it in a way to let them know that I understand, but I don't co-sign their crap either. So yeah,
you can't go way deep into your thing.
Yeah, I can't talk about the freaking nitty gritty and go down, get down and dirty with it, because even though it would be okay in some respects, but it's really not,
Because
it may make them think that I'm not really authority anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So
It
I
might
have to still
usurp
keep
your
the
authority.
professionalism there.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So
Because you tell them too much, they'll use it against you.
yeah, they'll use it against me,
Gotcha.
and they'll think that they can kind of sway me because they know, oh, she used to be an addict, she used to do this, she used to do that. We should be able to do certain things, and
Are you able to see now that you're still sick?
Well, I wouldn't say sick. I would say I would still need. I think that any good human service major that deals with people needs to be able to have a sound report for themselves to get help. So I wouldn't say
Your
sick.
sponsor. So you're not sick anymore.
Yeah, I would.
You still have the disease of addiction?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
As a matter of fact,
wouldn't that mean you're sick?
I won't say it's sick. I think that it just says that I need to be more on top of my game and more vigilant.
Gotcha.
Because my disease uses the very things that look like I'm not an addict, like my clothes, my car, my this, my that, to divert me from the fact that I still am an addict, right? So I got to always keep that at the forefront.
That you're still an addict.
Right.
Means you can't do certain things.
I can't do certain things. I got to move a certain way. Got to be mindful, I got to be vigilant. What I did yesterday, it kept me clean. I might have to do it today. I can't go off
track. You might have to do it today?
Yeah, I should do it today. All right. I can't veer off track. I can't be in trap houses. I can't be on the block.
Under what circumstances can you see yourself using again?
None.
None.
No.
No circumstances.
No. Even if something, I've played the tape through. They thought about certain things, something have to do with my kids, my grandkids, something like that. Me using is not gonna bring them back, right? So if I pick up, I always say they're not gonna get up, right? So I always have to remember that if I don't use, I have a shot of being able to process stuff better. It's not gonna change the scenario or the situation because I use.
Have you ever come close to wanting to use again? In the last, how many years you been clean?
Almost 6.
Almost 6. No,
I've had like weird thoughts and things like that, but not putting myself in freaking situations. So should I say I haven't put myself around certain situations that would instigate that, right?
Gotcha.
So if I get overwhelmed or if I am like annoyed or frustrated about something, I don't think about using. I want a glass of wine. I want something like that's kind of thing. I'll think I'm so more appropriate now. I could have a cute little glass of wine, but I can't have a glass of wine. Even a glass of wine, it's like I say alcohol is my gateway, right? So it opens the doors to other things, right? So it may open this door, then other things. It's like opens the floodgates. So I know I can't do that. Is it? Am I making myself clear?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about the collateral damage behind your using.
The collateral damage? Well, I want to say my own mental health, right? The effects I had on my family.
Tell me about that.
Well, I have a lot of strain. My kids are very distant from me. because of my using, because they were raised by other people as a result of my using.
How many kids do you have?
3. So 2 of them live in Atlanta, Georgia, and 1 of them lives here. And one of them actually making a living amends right now because I've raised 2 of her kids. So they live with me. They're 13 and 15. So she has some mental health stuff. That's some of the collateral damage as a result of me using and getting high while I was pregnant with her. She can't keep a job. She can't keep housing. She doesn't have emotional regulation where she knows how to appropriately make decisions, healthy decisions. So I think that my drug use during my pregnancy with her has also affected her, has created some irreparable damage that she may not see. You know what I mean? She doesn't think she has any problems at all, but other people see it, right? So we're always the last to know.
You see it.
Yeah, I see it.
Is that that concern that you just talked about? Is that what happened to you?
I don't know if my mom used a lot with me. I know that I was around a lot of um, abuse and trauma. I didn't get abused, but it's a lot of alcohol, drugs. It's a lot of men around. She did a lot of stuff that a mom, in hindsight, as a mom myself, I would not have done with little girls around. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Okay.
That's just I'm funny about my girls.
Right. So here's your grandkids now, and you're clean. You got a job and house.
Yeah, I just purchased a house.
You purchased a house. Okay, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
And they're living with you. You're taking on that responsibility.
Yeah, I'm like mom/grandma, but I'm mom first because I make sure they eat. I make sure they have their beds. One of them is in psychotherapy. Both of them actually are in psychotherapy. I make sure one of them gets to school every morning. I have to make sure I get her to school before I go to work. Well, that's my fault. PTA, things like that I've gone to. No. Also,
so you stepped up. You're taking responsibility for your grandkids, for your daughter. And your understanding, and I like that. I like what you said, that you kind of understand why she's out there, and you take a lot of responsibility for her, which means you're in the best position to help her because you get it, you understand. Not only did it happen to you, you were taking responsibility for it happening to her, and you're helping her. Right. And one day she's going to be able to come to you and say thank you, and you'll be able to have that conversation probably better than anybody else in the world.
Right, and a part of me getting a house is for them too.
Right.
Because she hasn't had stable housing for them for a long time. She can't keep stable housing.
Right.
So me purchasing the house really isn't about me. I have a 30-year mortgage. I don't think I'm going to be around 30 more years. Maybe I will. But the point is that the whole point of buying a house is so that it's generational wealth and it's something for them to have in my legacy to them, to my kids, to my family. My hope is to also working on getting a investment home property. That's my next move.
Okay.
We're going to investment property, so I want something where I can bring money in. Like maybe a men's house. Maybe get a house where I have men living in rooms. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll get a 2-family house where I have families live there. But I want something that's going to generate revenue. That's what I want.
Look how you're thinking now. Check you out. Back in the day,
I was bugging over $5.
Right? You wasn't thinking about no generational wealth.
Right.
You wasn't thinking about nobody but the drug dealer. And how you can get something from the plug, right? And how you're going to get over, how you're going to get under and all that stuff. What a change.
Yeah. God is good.
God is great to us. You know me. I got to be honest with you. Your story is like my story, and I get a lot of what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? A lot of what's the word? It's gonna be like crazy. I don't know. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel happy that you were able to come up like this. Inspiration. I have never seen such a great comeback story.
Oh, really?
No, I'm serious. You're like the biggest comeback story ever, which is why I sit with Norene every day at lunch, and we chop it up, and then people come around us and so on and so forth, and we eat, and this is what we do every day. And the reason I do that, I give her the time, and she gives me her time, is because I see her energy. She has an energy, and she has a light, and she's trying to do the right thing. Norene is not perfect.
Not at all.
Chris Pulley's not perfect, but we're both trying to do the right thing. We're both, at war. We're at war with the disease of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
We warred with it for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're at war with it for our patients.
Right.
And good job. I'm glad that you were able to come up, because you were a pathetic wretch at one point. You were.
Yeah.
It was
I
terrible.
said I went from rags to riches.
Yeah. And then you're like, look at you now.
Right.
Look at Diana Ross's cousin.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
But I say too that my come up is your come up, right? So if I could do better, I can help you do better, right?
Mhm.
I don't do this just to get the glory, because God always gets the glory,
Mhm.
right? My job is to pay it forward,
And which is what you're doing.
Yeah, people come to me and ask me, how'd you go about getting your house? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? And I share the information. People don't want to share information. I think it's absolutely insane, because I say information is free, right? So I share the information. What you do with the information is up to you, right? So I share the information. People come and ask me questions. Oh, how did you do this? How'd you get your car? What did you do? It's not about the stuff, but the point is, people are attracted to the attraction of people, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to be attracted. It's not to say a bad thing, but I'm not attracted to someone that's on a corner drinking a bottle of, liquor. Like, I'm not going to come up to you and say, how'd you do that? I'm attracted to someone that actually stays at their job for 2 years and is raising their own grandkids, when that person that's raising their own grandkids, nobody wanted their kids around them. I want to know, how'd you do that, right?
Mhm.
That's amazing stuff, right? So even for myself, I want to be around people that I can say, how did you do that?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That makes sense?
Yeah, what you're saying is you're reaching up.
Yeah.
You want to reach up. When we're dealing with people, we don't want to reach down to the low shelf. We
Right,
always want to reach to the high shelf.
right.
And understand that when we reach to the high shelf, we deserve what we're reaching for,
Mhm.
right? Some people you don't deserve that.
Right.
Get down here, go down there. So you see them walking down the street with somebody that they shouldn't be walking down the street with, because you're looking at them like they're all that. So why they're working with this, but they're looking at themselves like they deserve the bottom shelf, right? So you're saying you want the top shelf. These people can help you. These people can teach you. These people can nurture you,
Right.
so that you can be up there with them.
Right.
And then once you get there, then you can go even higher.
Right. I gotta know what the top shelf brings to, because I also say too much is given, so much more is required. Right. So even though I may reach for the top shelf, I need to know what comes with that, because so much more responsibility comes with being on the top shelf, right?
Must have.
I want to say responsibility, expectation, integrity, commitment.
Well, when you were in rehab and I was your case manager and I showed you the top shelf, you were like, no, thank you.
Right. I don't know what the
I ain't
top
ready
shelf.
for that right now.
Right.
I just asked people about goals. I said, if I gave you your goal right now, would you be ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got goals now. You got, let's say you said you want a house that has 7 men in it. If I came through and gave you a crib that had 7 men in it, would you be ready for it?
Not right now.
No.
Not
So
right
be
now.
careful what you wish for.
Right.
And make sure the
I
goals
said
are
at some
appropriate.
point, yeah.
Right.
At some point.
Right. You got to get yourself prepared for that.
Yeah.
Just like you got yourself prepared. I like what you said. I wasn't ready for even rehab.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
My goal is rehab. I can't do it yet though. Right. I got to go here first.
Right.
Get ready for rehab.
Mhm.
So that was good money.
Mhm.
So all in all, doing a great job. I really appreciate you coming, and I need you to please subscribe and listen to this and give us not information, but feedback on this interview that we had with this beautiful woman who has come up so far. At least just give us a thumbs up and say, God bless you.
Thank you.